They fired him for not being creative enough. The same man who would go on to build a world of imagination, magic, and dreams. But before the castle, before Mickey Mouse, there was just a boy. A boy with a sketchbook and a dream. Walt grew up in Marceline, Missouri, a tiny town where trains whistled louder than dreams. His father worked hard, his mother kept hope alive, and Walt, he just kept drawing. While other kids played, Walt sketched. Animals, faces, and stories only he could see. He wasn't rich, he wasn't popular, but he had imagination, and that was priceless. Life wasn't easy. His father believed art was a waste of time. But even when told to quit, Walt couldn't stop. When Walt was 16, he joined the Red Cross during World War I. Not to fight, but to draw and drive. Ambulances decorated with cartoons. Even in war, he carried art with him. After returning home, he took every small job. He could find as cartoonist, ad designer, animator. Every door that closed pushed him to build his own. He started a tiny company called Laugh-O-Gram Films. It was small, messy, and always broke. But it was his. For months, he worked day and night, drawing, animating, believing. But dreams don't always pay rent. The studio went bankrupt before it could shine. He packed his suitcase, sold his last camera, and bought a one-way ticket to Hollywood. All he had was $20, and a dream that refused to die. And that's where the real story begins. When Walt stepped off that train in Hollywood, no one was waiting. No money, no studio, no safety net, just one suitcase and a dream big enough to fill the sky. He started small with his brother Roy by his side, two dreamers in a rented garage, turning sketches into moving worlds. They created Oswald the Lucky Rabbit, their first big success. Hollywood noticed, money flowed in. For a moment, it felt like the dream had come true. But success attracts sharks. One day, Walt discovered the unthinkable. The studio he worked with had stolen his creation, his animators, and even the rights to Oswald. Everything he built, gone overnight. The character he loved, the people he trusted, all gone. He was left with nothing but heartbreak. Most people would have quit, but not Walt. Somewhere on that train ride home, he decided to start again. He took out his sketchbook and drew a mouse. A small, simple mouse with big ears and a bigger heart. That mouse would become the symbol of joy, laughter, and hope for generations, Mickey Mouse. Disney didn't just create a character. He created an empire built on imagination, one that would outlive him forever. But the road ahead was still long. Even Mickey's success couldn't protect him from failure, doubt, and near bankruptcy. Mickey brought smiles, but not stability. Every film was a gamble. Snow White was his biggest dream. It was called Disney's Folly. Behind the laughter, Disney's studio was drowning in debt. They said, "No one will sit through a full-length cartoon." But Walt didn't listen. He risked everything. His studio, his home, his name, on one movie. When Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs finally premiered, the theater fell silent. Then, as the credits rolled, The crowd stood up and cheered. The movie made history. It became the highest-grossing film of its time, saving the studio and rewriting cinema forever. But Walt wasn't done dreaming. He wanted to build a place where imagination would never end, a land where dreams came alive. Everyone said it was impossible again. Too expensive, too ambitious, too unrealistic. But Disney smiled and said, "If you can dream it, you can do it." And then, in 1955, Disneyland opened. Thousands walked through the gates. The dream was real. Walt Disney didn't live to see everything he built. But his vision outlived him. He turned rejection into a kingdom, a mouse into an empire, and failure into magic. Today, every dreamer who dares to start again walks a road Walt once walked. Because sometimes all it takes is one dreamer to remind the world that magic is real.